All right, I'll say good day to you this day of your time. Today's transmission is Re-Incarnation, a deeper explanation. Now, you will be shown a chart that has two different representations of the concept of reincarnation upon it. The top image represents the actual mechanism of simultaneous multiple incarnations happening all at once. The lower portion of the graphic will detail the idea of how you experience the concept linearly. In other words, why you actually think it is reincarnation, with the same soul having lifetime after lifetime after lifetime in linear order. As you can see from the top portion of the graphic, the idea is that the oversoul extends itself into different souls represented by the different colors, so that you know they are different souls. And each of those different souls creates its own higher mind and physical mind, which is represented in the physical realm down below by the different colored boxes, which represent the different persons that you all consider yourselves to be. Individuals that are independent of one another. But what you can see by the black arrows between the squares is that this energy connection that exists, these cross connections that exist between all of the physical personalities that are going on simultaneously, allows you to extract information, experience, guidance, what have you, like a giant cosmic internet, constantly exchanging information, plugging and unplugging from whatever individuals you need to in order to extract the information that guides you in life. But you can see from the top mechanism, the actual mechanism, that it's all happening at the same time. It all exists all at once. But now when you impose the idea of linear space-time on the concept and allow yourself to perceive reality a moment at a time, which, as we have said, is actually a perception of the same moment, but from different points of view that you interpret as different moments linearly, one after the other, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so forth. What happens then, from your perspective, is that the space-time reality, the space-time perspective, or what could be called the space-time lens, or space-time prism, or space-time filter that you impose upon your consciousness, just like a prism bends light, the space-time filter or lens bends the idea of how the interconnections exist between different individuals, so that it no longer exists simultaneously or is perceived to exist simultaneously. It is now bent upwards to make it seem as if the same soul, that is an extension of the oversoul, is experiencing over and over and over again an incarnation in linear terms, one after the other. You can now see that the black arrow in the chart below is bent upwards to go back into the soul level, so that it appears as if the same soul is having different physical incarnations, one after the other. But the mechanical truth is the graphic up above, without the idea of the bending of the space-time reality. So you can see that just because the space-time lens makes it appear as if the same soul is having incarnation after incarnation, the truth is these are different souls, different extensions of the oversoul, each of which is having its own physical experience that's connected to every other physical experience through those horizontal little black energy arrows. But again, because those arrows get distorted by the space-time lens, you perceive it in a linear fashion. Knowing that it's actually all happening at the same time, and knowing that the idea of reincarnation is an illusion, can help you understand how to live more in the moment, how to plug in and unplug to the other entities, the other physical beings that you may need to extract information and experience from to aid and assist you and guide you in this particular life, as they may be doing with you as well to guide them in their lives. And you can understand that all beings exist simultaneously. All things do. So if you can allow yourself to begin to see the illusion, the distortion, in a sense, that is created by the physical space-time lens, then you can begin to operate in a more immediate, more present way, living in the moment, knowing that you can make whatever connections you need to make, knowing that you are making whatever connections you need to make, plugging and unplugging in a dynamic way. It's not a static thing. A life that you feel you're connecting to now may not necessarily be the life that you will connect to in the years to come, or you may keep recreating that connection if you feel it is of benefit to you. But this is why. This is the explanation for why. You have heard many people say, oh, I used to be Cleopatra. I used to be Julius Caesar in one of my incarnations. That's the perspective of the distortion caused by the space-time lens. But if you understand the simultaneity of everything, as represented by the upper portion of the graphic, you can realize, of course, any being can connect to any other being. And that's why you can have 50 people, 100 people, 1,000 people all saying, I used to be Cleopatra. Because it's not that they actually were Cleopatra, because Cleopatra exists exactly at the same time you do. But 1,000 people can make an energy connection to Cleopatra in the present, and thus download information that may, through the distortion of the physical space-time lens, make it seem as if that was you, because you're assuming that the same soul is having these incarnations over and over and over again. So this explains the idea of how a multitude of people can connect to the same individual and download whatever information they need from that individual, and understand that it's not that it was your past life, but that it is another person existing at the same time that has their own life, but you get to extract whatever information from their experience of life that you need while they can do the same to you. Who knows how many connections Cleopatra has? Who knows how many times Cleopatra may have assumed, oh, this must be coming from one of my future lives, when in fact, again, it's all simultaneously coexistent. So, again, this helps you live more in the moment, understand the mechanisms and how different a description of the mechanism can be from a description of what appears to be the experience from a space-time lens perspective. Again, the most important thing to take away from this is the changing of your definitions from outmoded ones, outdated ones, old-fashioned ones, so that you understand that there can be a vast difference between a description of the experience, or how the experience appears to be happening, as opposed to how the experience is actually mechanically happening. So if you start from the premise of understanding that everything exists now, you can then decode, in a sense, and decipher and translate the experience, and realize that the description of the experience, again, is not necessarily a description of how it's actually happening, how the experience is being truly created. And you can start to deconstruct these ideas of old-fashioned definitions of experience and begin to truly understand the modern understanding, the modern definition for your 21st century of the actual mechanisms behind everything you experience in physical terms. So we thank you for allowing us to share with you this idea, this day of your time, to bring you more into the present and give you an opportunity to understand more deeply how mechanisms of consciousness work, so that you can learn to differentiate between the experience and the mechanism, and use modern definitions to propel you forward in understanding of how you create your reality, so that you can do so with more consciousness, more awareness, and more efficiency. And this will make all the difference in how you experience your reality.